Okay, first question. Does NPPD anticipate a new large C&I on their system and with the new rate served by new renewables? And the second part of that is, will Monolith Materials, which is that hydrogen facility south of Lincoln by Hallam, Nebraska, will they be served by newly built renewable projects? Nicole, it sounds like maybe something you want to take.
Okay, I can take that. So NPPD, we are always actively working to try to attract new commercial and industrial users into our territory. And we're always open to, if they want to be served by renewables. I shared just the different tools that are available that NPPD is willing to pursue on their behalf for the company. So again, we're always open to it. We're always working on it very aggressively, having a dedicated economic development program working on this. Monolith Materials will be served by one of our wholesale customers, by Norris, and so they would have that option to be able to be served by renewable energy if requested.
So the next one has to do with Facebook, so it's probably queued up for Courtney. Are there plans in place when Facebook disappears in a few years as they are replaced by a new technology platform? So I imagine the question has to do with the plans. What are the plans in place?
So I cannot speak to the specific plan for Facebook, but what I can tell you is when we have a large customer and it requires this amount of development and investment into the infrastructure, there are plans and provisions in place to help mitigate the risk. But with Facebook investing over $1 billion, I think that's a pretty good indicator that they'll be around for a little while in the community. But OPPD, and I think I would say the same for the others, we make sure we mitigate the risk anytime we're looking at serving a customer with a large load.
Thank you. So this is teed up really well for an economic developer, so I think Nicole might hit this one out of the park here. It's what is the hardest challenge in attracting large wholesale customers to Nebraska? And I imagine wholesale customers are defined as C&I customers, commercial industrial.
So probably hands down the number one challenge in trying to attract commercial industrial users into Nebraska is our workforce. We have a national workforce shortage, and so it's challenging when we have a state that has not a very large population and these customers, these businesses are looking for access to talent. That continues to be our number one challenge in trying to attract large companies into our state. But I think we're seeing a lot of creative things happening in our communities, that it's not all about business attraction, it's about business retention and entrepreneurship and really growing our own communities. And we're seeing that a lot across the state. And that, even from a utility perspective, that helps with load growth, and it helps sustain our communities in a more friendlier way. But hands down, workforce continues to be our number one challenge in Nebraska.
Super. All right, I think the last question we'll take here is when we talk about development, the great focus is on attracting new companies with renewables. Why isn't more effort placed on offering to existing companies?
I'll start with what I know. I think that's a great point, and we just maybe failed to highlight some of the good work that goes on with our current customers. For example, speaking on behalf of OPPD's economic development team, there is plans in place to yearly visit current customers, asking what we can do to help them to grow if that's in their plans, if they have interest in renewables or other programs or products and services. So there's a constant focus on current customers while also trying to recruit and attract new customers.
I would just add to that, I think it's an important point to make that the corporate marketplace is driving a lot of new development in renewables, and it's not just the Facebooks and the Adobes and Google's recent announcement for a project in Wayne County included a partial purchase from Smucker's, the jam and jelly maker. GM is more and more integrating renewables into their purchases. So it's both technology companies and traditional companies that are getting into this market and creating the demand for new projects. And we we need to remember that. I think to the question, we have a lot of opportunities within our existing business and industry community in Nebraska to make deals that are good for them, can lower their bills, and good for our local and regional economies because this energy is being generated here.
Two things that I'll just add. When I mentioned the Kearney Community Solar Project, those were existing businesses that did purchase into those shares. The community college expansion, a software company in the tech park. So a couple of already existing businesses and industries within the community. But then utilities also offer incentives to help with their energy conservation. So there's incentives to be able to help reduce their costs from that perspective as well. So we're also trying to help our existing businesses and industries that way.
So there were some really good questions. Appreciate the questions from the audience. I think there were 2 or 3 more that were on Slido.com. So I'd encourage you, since we're out of time here, to come on up and talk to Josh, Courtney, and Nicole. I think they'll stick around for this afternoon. But if you wouldn't mind, help me give a nice warm of applause here. A round of applause for these folks. So.